What is up, folks at home? Welcome back to the channel. It's an exciting one today. It is turning into fall. It is October. The water is cooling down, the grass is dying, and it is a fantastic time to tie on a crankbait. So let's head underwater. Let's talk about why a crankbait works this time of year and check out my favorite ones. Let's go. Okay, as the water cools and vegetation dies, bass up here in the North Country are going to do two things. One, they're going to group up, and two, they are going to suck like magnets onto any structure or cover that they can find. So look up under this dock here. This is one of the last docks in the lake that I fish a lot of. They're all started to come out after Labor Day. Look how many bass are under here, and look at the quality of bass. That one right there is probably a 5-pounder, which is a big fish interpretation of anywhere here in Indiana. Now, these fish group up on structure and cover, but more importantly, they sit on these sand spots because after the docks are gone, look at the bottom here. It's plain and bare. So you can go fish where the docks were and you're going to find a lot of fish. Now, what do I fish in those spots? Well, a lot of guys are going to throw a jig or a worm. I'm going to throw a crankbait, and specifically the DT6 is the one I'm going to start with. The DT6 in perch color is my favorite bait to throw here because I can grind it down to this bottom and hit it in that sand spot. And what I'm talking about doing this is I'm high sticking it until it gets to that flat spot, then I'm opening up, burning it down. See how many fish sit in these sand spots? They're constantly around looking for bait to ambush. The DT6 grinds through that cover excellently and then pops back out of it. It's a high float crankbait, but it's got a flat side on it and it's got an excellent wobble. I would venture to say that the DT6 might be my favorite crankbait of all time because it's versatile and you can use it in a lot of different ways. Plus, a lot of guys don't fish crankbaits over sand spots like this. And I'm going to tell you what, it is a bait that will get ripped out of your hands when fish hit it. Perch color is my favorite this time of year. You can see when you hit that wall of vegetation, you let it rise up and you continue on to the next flat spot. How you fish these spots are vital. You see that good, nice wobble on it there. It comes through vegetation nicely. You high stick it over those high vegetation areas and you've got a bait that a lot of fish are going to be willing to eat. Another crankbait that I love to do the same thing with is the Bandit 200 series in Spring Craw Yellow. This bait has caught more fish for me this time of year probably than any bait besides the DT6. I love its high float. I love its wobble. If the water's a little bit more off color, I'm going to throw this bait. If I'm around smallmouth especially, I'm going to throw this bait. It's got a rattle in it. It's got a nice knock, but it's got a great aggressive kick. And it's very good at coming through weeds and being high-sticked and kind of driven. You got to think, this is actively fishing a crankbait. It's not just chucking and winding. Literally, I'm feeling the bottom. I'm finding that sand spot. These are controlled casts, and then I'm bouncing it off the bottom there in those sand spots to really make it look like a fleeing bait fish. Perfect example of how to do that here and how that high float matters. Fish will inhale that on the pause as it's rising up. And literally, it's a very clean crankbait, and it comes through a lot of junk and vegetation very nicely. Awesome bait. Up next, when I'm fishing more shallower water, like 2 to 3 feet, I like to fish the Lucky Craft RC, Rick Clunn Squarebill. Here it is in Sexy Shad. And I like to grind this bait. It's going to run shallower. It's going to come through that sand spot clean, but it's just going to be easier to fish over top of those weeds. I also like it in situations where the weeds are like 2 or 3 feet down from the surface because you can run this through and then really get it down, really twitch it and pop it through those open areas. If fish are triggered on shad, this is a great bait to throw. It does a good job of coming through these weeds nicely and cleanly. Next up, we have a classic, the Man's Baby 1- in chartreuse shad. This bait is one of my secrets. Definitely need new treble hooks on this one. I just pulled it out of my box. This is one that I fish this time of year and I burn over the top of cover because it's super erratic. This is also going to draw a vicious reaction strike from bass. It's not going to catch them every day, but when they are feeding up and you are running it over shallow sand spots, this is a bait that will absolutely load the boat for you. I had one of my best days fishing on Cumberland throwing a baby 1- like up over really, really shallow rock and gravel points, and they were just unloading on it in the fall. Awesome bait. Here is another bait that a lot of guys don't fish anymore, the Rapala Scatter Wrap shad in size 7. When gizzard shad are up shallow, this is the crankbait that I throw. It's got a long profile and a high float. It really gives a nice side-to-side wobble, and it hunts really well with that scatter rat bill on it. This is a bait that a lot of guys never gave a chance. It's very niche crankbait. It works in certain situations, but if gizzard shad are up shallow, this is the crankbait that I'm gonna throw because it has a very tight wobble and has that elongated body. It does a really good job in imitating those gizzard shad up shallow, and it's a high float, so you can high stick it through weeds and do different things. Dig it off the bottom. You can throw this up into inches of water and effectively fish it. It's a Rapala. You got to give it a shot. It's one of those baits that works in great situations if you put it in them. You just got to have confidence. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Cranking in the fall is one of my favorite things to do. It really allows you to cover a lot of water and find where the fish are. If you guys are enjoying the channel right now, give us a like, subscribe. We got a bunch of stuff coming up. We got a bunch of stuff planned. Hit those links on Omnia. Support us. It does a lot for us. It allows us to get more baits, to do more filming, to really bring you content that you're going to enjoy. So give us a like, subscribe, and we'll see you out there on the water, everybody.